As we have in the bottom left-hand corner to begin things with our Red Zerg player. He will start up 1-0 in this series because he is from the winner bracket. That will be his advantage for not having lost a series in this double elimination tournament. Heading into the grand final, our Red Zerg is going to be Solar. As the benefit of replay is we don't have to sit through the players pausing. At the top right, our Blue Terran from the Shopify Rebellion. A streak he's been on. 3-2 Dark, 3-1 Max Packs. He's had a great run through the lower bracket just in general. Can he finish it off with a comeback from the 1-0 deficit against Solar? From the Shopify Rebellion, it is ByuN. I'm going to try and turn WardiBot off and on quickly, guys, just to see if maybe WardiBot will come back to life. Because WardiBot seems very dead at the moment for some reason. Actually, WardiBot doesn't die. We'll just check that out, and like I say, let's get into this finals, guys. I'm excited. Solar's been playing some great games lately. I think Solar's been playing very, very good. Sorry, I was just clicking things. Yeah, Solar's been playing very, very good lately. WardiBot's back. The OSC command's in the channel now if you want to check it out. So yeah, Solar's just been impressing me. Really feel like he's been playing great. Super excited to keep on watching him play. And against ByuN, I feel like a while ago I would have favored ByuN in the TvZ between these guys. Usually pretty even, but maybe I'd favor ByuN. I feel like ByuN had some really solid TvZ, but Solar has just been a beast as of late. So we'll see what happens here. There's a couple of Marines going to start nibbling away at this Overlord. So going to be having a Marini. Just got you going for this Ovi. It's actually a really nice initial catch. Getting an Overlord kill early. One barracks on the low ground, but then not using it for Reapers or anything. Instead using this to grab the Ovi. And that is, like I say, a nice little start because Solar is supply blocked. It's 100 minerals early in the game. It's scouting information you now no longer get to gather. And as this reactor finishes, it looked as though we are going to start a bunker, but 2 Marines should be fine against the few Zerglings that are here. Don't think this is truly an issue for ByuN, who just heads into, well, he is going to build the bunker up, so I just clicked it to double check it was in fact a bunker that was on the way there. And yeah, ByuN just going to finish up his CC and go on with his game. Factory and the starport in the main base. He'll be followed by an extra barrack, so pretty aggressive setup from ByuN. Not going to see triple CC here on Ancient Cistern. Pretty good stuff for Solar. You get the 1-0 map advantage. I wonder if he also gets, maybe ByuN gets the 1 veto, but then Solar gets first map pick. I wonder if actually Solar, if there's just no vetoes, and there must be vetoes because there's 10 maps in the map pool. I wonder how the system works for them picking maps. I'm not actually sure about that, but it does feel obviously rough because A, Solar starts 1-0, and then B, you go into a map that is one of Solar's map picks out of the map pool. It's very possible Solar gets a 2-0 start on this series. That winner bracket advantage can be pretty hefty sometimes. Dig Big Minx, thank you so much for the 11-month resub as well. Much appreciated. Thank you for supporting the day. As our drones continue to pop. My queens are coming through, Solar doing nothing but macroing off of this early game, while ByuN is going to go for the Cloaked Banshees. Very technical opening here from ByuN. With that little bit of a start we saw just from the Marine getting the Overlord kill. Now going to get the Cloaked Banshees out. And then heading towards, I imagine, Stimpack and something of a Marine attack behind this as well. And some drops on the map and all the rest of it. So very interesting just combination of setups for the early stages of this. Very excited to see whereabouts we take this overall as this one Banshee flies in overhead. And he's just going to start heading out across the far left side of the map. Bay Nest is still coming up too, so just getting that underway. A few more Zerglings popping out also. A couple of Queens still building into action. As yeah, this factory gonna let Cloak finish, so it's 1 Banshee, Cloak, and then the factory's gonna take the tech lab, the starport's gonna take the reactor. First Banshee shows up, and there is not a spore crawler ready just yet, so first Banshee gonna find 3 kills. Starts to go after a Queen. I think that's a shame. That could have been 2 more drones if you hadn't targeted the Queen instead, so maybe more damage potential that was missed out, and although there is still no detection here, so take a few more moments to deal with that. And not a bad start for this one single Banshee of ByuN. And again, with the super fast switch into like a medevac stem kind of tank attack follow-up, it's going to be very scary for a Solar who, early on here, has not exactly had the best of starts. not exactly had the best of starts. Alright, well, let's see if ByuN can continue to do more. This Banshee's still lurking around. Currently sitting on 6 kills. Is not quite going to find 7 in the corner there, but can sit in this little gap between the bases. And then get targeted down by Queens. Feel like that is a safe space if you position correctly. That was obviously not being positioned correctly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have died. But here comes the push. So the Marines, 1 single tank. Just the fact that Stim is ready, obviously no Balin speed. So 9 Balins, sure, but no Bane speed. Means that it's difficult to get those Balins to connect. They're all just finished in the main base as well. There will be that 1 siege tank, so if those Banes are a little bit clumped up, they're going to have a bad time as the Marines start to go onto this hatchery, putting some work in over here. That's a straight up cancel. Well, we are building to the top left, but that is a much later starting base than the one that just got cancelled, so that 4th is essentially denied for the moment. These Banes can't get forward, not when they're waddling like that. They need to be rolling. As the Lings are going to find a chance to get on top of the siege tank, the Marines will stop the fire, but they have to lift up. The Bane's getting too close. And so now we move it away, and we're just going to back it away up that right side with the medevac. Just going to change that up completely as the couple medevacs do escape out up the top. Yo, Jalea, how you doing? Thank you so much. 28-month resub. Welcome back. Thanks for supporting the stream. Appreciate it. It's been so lovely to see you guys resubscribing today, guys. It's been so good to be back. Thanks for supporting, even though we've been gone for a couple of weeks on the channel. Like I said, we've got so much StarCraft coming up. We're going to be busy casting it all. Tanks sieging. Marines are pressing forward. A couple of crew teamers are going down. On the left-hand side, a few Marines are going to run on over, tackle this hatchery, which is going to get cancelled up pretty much immediately. Well, Lings and Banes are not wasting any time coming in for the flank, but that's a horrible choice from Solar. Because, you know, basically you run in only to be kind of turned around immediately, right? So that's pretty rough. Because then you just lose a bunch of units. If you just decide not to go in, you would have still had all those units, and you would have done just as much damage to the Terran, which was basically none at all. So yeah, definitely makes a bit of a difference there as, well, ByuN keeps the pressure up over on this left-hand side. Setting up over here, just going to be seeing that Queen still putting in some damage. Marines going to lift up, back away. Thank you so much for the extra subs, guys. PenQ5, 6 months on the Prime. Harry BP, 20 months on the Prime. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Sorry for the quickest shout-outs. Just obviously, game is getting to a pretty intense little moment here as we are kind of at a little bit of the standoff. Solar supply blocked. Feel like this has been a great game so far from ByuN. Just being very active, very successful in his trades. Resources lost is so good for ByuN as well. Can he close it out on a map like Ancient Sister? It's a tough map to play. It's a big map. The Zergs love it. Here we go. Big flanking attack here from Solar. This is a lift up and get out from ByuN, but he's going to lose a lot of units in the process. And his 2 siege tanks obviously left behind. As he knows he's playing against Ling Bane, I wonder if it's time to stop the tanks. Apparently not. He's going to keep on building them. I was wondering if he's going to stop tanks and start building mines. Solar, with the Infestation Pit finished, is now going to have the chance to go up towards Hive Tech, so he's going to be doing exactly that. And obviously that opens up so many more opportunities for himself in the near future. He's come forward, the Zergling's going to run through, the Marine's going to have to back away a little bit, the Ling's trying to get a wraparound. Siege tank is there, and that's going to be a pretty solid defense without many issues. Now these Marines are going to come across, and that's a dead hatchery over here as well. It's just going to knock that one down as well. Yo, Japetsi, thank you so much also for the 4-month resub. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the continued support, guys. I really appreciate it all as ByuN is really continuing to attack as well. He is not letting this up. He's keeping this pressure going. Our Queens, our Lings, our Banes. And try and be a defense over here. We still got the double drop of Marines on the left-hand side as well, so we've got to keep our eyes on those too while the rest of this all sets up. Couple creep teamers going down. Queens going to try and come forward and fight against these Marines. Marines going to take a few steps back. Queen's on the other side coming through as well. Queen's still taking some damage. Hatchery taking some shots as well. This is honestly a pretty good trade for ByuN, right? I mean, okay, he's maybe not killing the Queens off, but he's getting rid of so much of their energy. Eventually, they can't just stand anymore. That's going to be when Solar pulls the trigger. He's got tanks everywhere, my goodness. He's going to lift the Marines up again and be like, hey, it's okay if I lose a few tanks. He's just very happy to just keep this going, and man, he's gotten rid of so many bins. This tank in the back, 31 kills. One absolute champion of a siege tank, and It didn't have anything to do with the initial pushing position. It was just so good because it defended the run by the flanking position. It's such a sick tank spot for ByuN. Such good kind of forward thinking as to what exactly was about to go down in this game and where Solar was going to attack from. I think tank was really sick. Marines on the top left. They'll be met by Ling Bei, and Solar is very good at drawing it out and hanging on in there, but he's not close to the things that I would usually expect him to turn games around with. Like, he's not close to Lurkers. Hydrogen's only just finishing soon. You know, Adrenal Gland's just starting. Like, he has nothing really. Like, Solar has not one thing, which I look at, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm really excited for that to finish for him. ByuN now has +2 attack for the tail end of this fight, and that means he can actually do very well against these last few Lings and everything. Just able to trade out nicely, and still has the drop top left side as well. I think ByuN's going to continue to find efficiency, if not just this hatchery. This game has been just all about ByuN from the very start. He was active, he was pressuring, he created some weird situations. And again, this is how you take control of a game and you don't let go of it until the very, very end. At this point, I think ByuN is looking... It's not guaranteed, but he is definitely looking good. In the top left corner of the map, you can see the hatchery going down as well. The units just don't get there in time to do anything about it. The Baneling's over here, crashing into the front line that was pre-splits. The damage there doesn't even add up that much either. The hatchery just about alive still, despite a close call previously. Thank you as well again, Jessica, for the 2-month resub on the Prime, and you heard about Pluto for the 8 months on the Prime as well. The Siege Tank, no! Hero Siege Tank with 60 kills gets abducted. It took an entire Viper to kill our Hero Siege Tank. He was just chilling in the back doing so much damage. 60 kills as he went down. That tank was very, very sick as ByuN absolutely on top of this right now, coming across the map with a whole chunk of bio. The Marines over here going to work their way through a bunch of Zerglings. This hatchery will be in a little bit of trouble on the bottom side. Our Bioforce setting up as well. This hatch taking a lot of damage, is going to drop. He's going to try and rebuild. He's going to get to rebuild instantly. And now ByuN continues to round into the middle of the map. The creep tumors potentially go down. Our Bioforce continues to trade. No mine goes off. A few more Marines going down. Lings, Banes, Hydras, Queens continue to push on forward. It's going to be seeing these Queens continue to take a lot of shots. Top left side, our Marines come through. Hatchery gets cancelled. Viper gets very low. Well, the Vipers might have got targeted there, but ByuN's busy microing back the parasitic bombed medevac. Drop on the top left is just being chilled out by Lings, but kind of fine for the moment as extra reinforcements has come across the map. And this is 184 supply of Terran against 150 of Zerg. ByuN has just traded very well throughout. These Widow Mines are going to get to burrow. Not all of them will go down. That one found a massive connection. The one that fired was absolutely huge. And ByuN maintains a pretty substantial lead. Good enough to convince Solar to tap out of this game. And boom, just like that, tied up 1-1 in this best-of-7 finals. ByuN right here on the channel. So thanks so much for allowing us to do this. And keep on keeping on and coming back and casting and StarCrafting and all that good stuff. Thank you so much, Kayu Kankem, for the 5-month resub to take us into Game 3. As we have in the bottom right corner, our red Zerg player from Onside Gaming, it is Solar. I know this is kind of just Game 2, guys. Obviously, Solar started up one map, so it's kind of Game 2. I'm going to call it Game 3 because the longer the series goes, the more likely I am to just look at the score to tell you what game it is, and then, you know, it doesn't matter that Game 1 wasn't played. So I'm just going to call this Game 3 already. You can call Game 1 a free win for Solar, so that's, you know, assume it how you wish. As in the top left is ByuN, our blue Terran player. Game 3 of this series, we're going to double racks it up at the front to start us out. It's going to be our initial plan, so get 2 barracks up at the front, get this underway, see where we go with this. Just hatch gas pool from Solar as well, worth noting. No super early pool or anything kind of cheeky or cheesy like that, so pretty standard in that regard. Can't believe all these guys hosted without freaking game hop, by the way. Don't worry, I will tell them off next time I'm in a lobby with them. Unbelievable. There's our spawning pool. coming up for the moment. Queens, handful of Lings all coming now. Just gonna see our first Reaper showing up. Let's see what we can do. We're actually gonna get some damage on a drone initially. Obviously, losing a drone straight away would be kind of rough. We're not gonna be able to get a kill as the first Ling micros back quite nicely. And now we've got a couple of Lings that are low. This Reaper would love to capitalize and finish those off, but can't stick around here forever. There are the Queens. As we are gonna get rid of one Zergling, and that is a start at least to kind of chipping through the defenses here. The Queen, though, gonna keep this push back. That will be about it for the moment. Couple Reapers to top up, going to move in toward the base and see if there's anything to do in the main. There's just going to be 2 Reapers, by the way. It's not even a 3rd Reaper, just straight into Marines after this. So I'm actually going to bring the Marines around the right side. I feel like they were looking for this Overlord, which is actually over here, perhaps. Either way, just a few Marines already, so very quick into the Marine follow-up instead of just going super hard on the Reaper count. Oh, there we go. Super hard on Reapers. A lot of times just 3 Reapers, right? But even 2 Reapers is obviously much less than that. Solar having a bit of a rough time because this 3rd hatchery is taking some damage off just the 2 Reapers. Things are in position in the main base, so ByuN checks that. He knows where those are. He'll probably drop... I would have thought he would have dropped a grenade just to kind of push the Queens back, but I think he's being smart because he knows it's about time for Link speed. So if he dropped a grenade on the Queens, that's one less grenade he has to potentially save himself from the Lings chasing his Reapers down. So he preserves the grenades, knowing he probably needs it against Ling speed. I actually don't mind that at all. I think that's very smart. And again, just forward thinking. Definitely seemingly the case for ByuN so far in this series. It's been pretty good so far throughout the course of this. Now the Marines are here as well, and so ByuN is just going to create so much map control out of so little happening, honestly. So you've seen how Reaper's still trying to find a little cheeky chance to dive on through, but no opportunities are going to be given there. Turn out the watchtower. The Marines and our Reapers come back around this right side. Overlord's still up on the high ground, and the Marines are going to continue forward to join up with these couple of Reapers as well, which move through the center of the map. So, to the middle of the map we go. That's going to be seeing our Marines and our combat shield all coming up as well. Knocking down one Zergling. Again, our Reapers, our Marines joining together. There's a lot of Lings on the way from Solar. Boy, does he need them. Stem-man combat shield done here. No Banelings just yet as the first few Zerglings are going to start going down. ByuN's going to get a trade and a half. He's going to get a lot of Lings. He's going to get a lot of these Queens because there's no transfusions to keep him alive. And that is just some serious damage. Gets a few drones around the backside of the hatchery as well. Comes back around, ring around the hatchery, kills another Queen. A few more Zerglings. Why not take a couple more drones with you? These Marines not quite going to fight to the death. They are going to start backing it up. Maybe some reinforcing Lings can actually get the cleanup on them now, but my goodness, that was obviously a pretty good trade for ByuN. Resources lost is already over double as effective for ByuN as it is for Solar. It's a pretty good way to go about things as these Marines come through for a couple more Lings here, and well, I mean, obviously the Lings do get the cleanup, but I think ByuN's still pretty happy with how this all went down. A little bit of a shame he couldn't quite join those Marines up. He was so close to being home. But a fantastic start, and again, Solar just not really prepped for the push. Alien Nest not ready, the Link count not really good enough. Painful if you're a Solar fan, if you're just Solar in general. You're cheering him on in this finals. It's not been a good start to this series. A rough game, one on his own map pick, and now ByuN's map pick just getting out of hand super early on. Okay, thank you so much for the 37-month resub, by the way. Dropping the Wardy stims in the chat. Powering ByuN's attack up apparently as Marines gonna do just that right now, stimming forward. Knock down a chunk of these creep tumors, start to open up a little bit more of this map as being accessible to the Terran player. And Marines will load back into these medevacs, boost over to the right-hand side. And where are we gonna go? We're gonna unload here and grab an Overlord, apparently. That works. And now that, a few more creep tumors going down, and Marines still continuing to stem down. We just have Lings trying to get a bit of a wraparound, but Finland's gonna get targeted. Marines just lift up, and the medevac's gonna have to escape out over to the right side. Solo, I mean, you're applying pressure. Got a little supply block, actually, but CC should finish in time to free him up from that before the depots do. But what does Solar do from here? I mean, obviously it's not been a pretty start. He's not been able to trade super well up until now. At this stage, Solar, I think, you know, get Baneling speed up. Maybe set up some run buys, set up some of those counterattacks, right? Could be the option. As ByuN tries to attack you, get some good damage done, find a defense while doing that damage, and boom. Maybe you're onto something in terms of getting back into this game. This is not a game right now, though, where you can just sit back and do nothing, right? This is absolutely a game where you got to make something happen. Because it has been good for ByuN. ByuN has been controlling. ByuN has been trading extremely well. You can't just pretend that that part of the game didn't happen. So I think Solar kind of needs to kind of get out and do a little bit of something, or be ready to go out and do something should he find the opening. Thank you, by the way, I miss SC2. Another resub, 7 months on the Prime. Thank you so much. Tank on sieges again. We're going to reposition these few Marines back around the right. Flings that down to the south. The medevac loads back into the high ground there. You're just going to be seeing our creep teamers continuing to get picked away at. The medevacs on the right going to come around. And ByuN just still being so very aggressive. Solar going to try and make his way up to the Hydralisks. If you get there, then brilliant, but obviously, yeah, get there first, and I'll believe that there's an opportunity. Solar's very good at surviving until he gets to Hydras and to, you know, even towards Lurkers a lot of the time, but this has been a rampaging game so far from ByuN, and he is just not giving up the pressure. There's no creep up this right side of this base either, which is obviously a pretty big detriment. That's one of the things you really rely on to be just that little bit safer on these bases, and now you just don't have access to it in the slightest. That can't really possibly be good either, right? So definitely some issues as Marines going around this right side. A couple more creep teamers going down. The hatchery taking shots. A lot of drones will begin to go down as well. Marines continue to chase. Our Marines back it up. In the main base, the Marines going to drop down for a few more drones too. This Queen getting a push back on the medevac on the left side. And again, Marines all just in general joining up together, pushing Ling Bane around the map a little bit. Ling Bane's still coming through. Just going to be seeing our tanks firing up a bit of a storm. We do have ourselves the Marines backing it up right now as our army tries to get forward here. Solar, I mean, the siege tank is finding so much damage. 46 kills. Oh my god. 49 kills at the end of the game, and he just absorbed like 5, 6, 7 Balins or something too. This freaking siege tank, we've just got hero siege tanks in these games today. These tanks are freaking sick. ByuN's tank positioning is getting so much damage done. Just straight up, like, the position of the tanks is doing so much for him. Still, believe it or not. Well, he started this series with a 1-0 advantage from the winner bracket. How a red Zerg player now down a map. Looking to bounce back here on Jagannatha. It is Solar. It's another Zerg map pick. Jagannatha was kind of funny. Like, this map was a Zerg map pick, and they kind of trended towards Terrans kind of not minding it so much as they figured out how to deal with this map. Because the map is long, but it's actually pretty good to push on as a Terran. So, do wonder what ByuN's approach is going to be. Our blue Terran bottom left. Pretty creative with what we've seen from him throughout the TvZs so far. Yeah, okay, it's a lot of like forward barracks and forward reapers, but the follow-ups are very inventive and creative and different. And that last game is, you know, we've seen a Banshee follow-up and everything. Like, we've seen all sorts. 2 reapers into straight Marines immediately and so on as well. There is the initial 2 barracks, by the way, so just sort of seeing what we expect in that regard for the moment. Excuse me. Alright, we're waiting for these couple of Reapers to pop on out of these barracks. My voice is like, we've not casted this much in like 3 weeks, what are you doing? Like, shut up, voice. Cast the TvZ. Apologies, guys. I need to take a drink for a moment. A couple of Reapers then. We'll follow these across the map and see just what sort of trouble they can get up to over the next few moments. Probably helps if we actually start to follow the first Reaper across the map, as I said I would. Well, let's see what ByuN does on the back of this Reaper-based open here on Jagannath. Like I say, it can be a pretty good map for some of the aggressive pushes. You got those speed zones in the middle, which are very fun to play around. Genuinely just very curious as to what the plan is going to become. As we do have our Reaper hopping up to the high ground. A few Lings are kind of coming through and checking out a little bit of what they can do. But the Reaper is going to have 1 kill already. Now looking for number 2. That drone, that Ling is very low. Going to chase the drone a little. Knows he can get out down to the south, as the second Reaper's already chilling over here, so he was very aware they could get out down to the south of the main base. Now he starts to put some damage onto this hatch. 2 barracks behind it, so it's going to be the 4-rack setup. ByuN absolutely looking to be the aggressor at this point of time. As the Reapers start to, again, just chunk through this hatchery. Good grenade, going to bop the Queen's back a little bit further. Once again, good bop back with the grenade. Reaper's still fighting. Queen's going to get shaved away. Like I say, you shouldn't really get a cancel when it's a 2-racks Reaper, 3 Reaper only kind of attack on the hatchery, but we saw it once earlier, so you did it against Dog as well, right? Like, of all people to do it against, getting it against Dog is kind of ridiculous. I think a Reaper dies here, no? Queens are going to be on the low ground. Great grenades. It was a great grenade even though it didn't hit, because if it had been the Queens far enough forward to actually get the kill, it would have pushed them back. Because the Queens weren't far enough forward to get the kill, the grenade missed, so it looked kind of silly, but actually I think it was still a pretty good grenade. It did its job. It guaranteed that the Reapers were going to be safe to squeeze out. Obviously now Ling Speed is in action, and these Reapers are going to be hunted down in full, but well, I mean, eventually they are. Oh my god, this Reaper, 5 kills. Oh, stop! Oh my god. Surely not 1 more. Surely he doesn't get another Ling. He gets, oh, I thought he was going to get 2 more. Okay. Can we just, like, can we just rebalance ByuN's micro sometimes? Like, come on. It's just a little bit ridiculous, right? Yeah. Okay, well, Solar lost a lot in the chase down of the Reapers. Resources lost is kind of even, but Solar was so busy chasing. Obviously, ByuN was microing too, but his macro behind this has been impeccable. And he's already got this Marine push coming. Remember, this was 4 racks. Baneling Nest is not ready yet. This could be trouble for Solar. He could be in a lot of trouble very quickly. In fact, he might just take some serious damage here as our Marines begin to come out onto the map. Well, let's see what we can do. Stim's ready. There's just not any units right now, right? Baneling Nest not ready yet. Oh, I don't think ByuN realizes how good he's got it right now. I guess he's waiting for Combat Shield. It's going to give the Baneling Nest a chance to finish, though, and maybe then a few more Zerglings. Maybe there's a little bit more hope. As ByuN scans ahead, he'll take the Cryptium, which does cancel the active one on the left side. So Queens will pop a couple new Cryptiumers down to reestablish what has just been lost. I think ByuN's just going to play kind of safe. I don't think he feels the need to do much more aggressive kind of stimming in than just poking around on the edges. He will wait for +1. He will wait for the Starport and the Medivacs. I think he doesn't feel the need to be more aggressive than that, which, like I said, I think maybe there was a moment there, but we can see that. We have the, the beauty of the production tab. ByuN has to kind of feel it out, and if most of the time this Baneling's ready and this fight doesn't work, then just use it to pressure. Force your opponent to make units and then back away for a later fight, where your army is still going to be very strong because you've got a very good amount of Marines, right? So that's the plan. And that's why he doesn't commit in, because there's more value to be had later than the gamble right then and there. Solar just going to counterattack Bane Bust. I was like, he brought everything across the map there as though he might. I don't know if he thought that this army was already back home. This is getting a little scary maybe for ByuN. Like, it feels like now he's very trapped on the map, and Solar seems very convinced that he's somewhat able to fight this. ByuN's going to kite upwards here. There's no way he wants to run through the acceleration zone, but now he sees a chance to chase Banelings. I feel like that's crazy, because I feel like that was a moment where ByuN says, oh my goodness, I forced him to turn around. Let me go run the hell away. And instead, ByuN kind of chased, and now he might still not get home with these units. Solar's setting up from the top. He's setting up from the south. ByuN, he's going to stim. He might still be able to get south if he kills enough of the Lings. He's going to break his way through. He's got Marines and Medivacs to the right side, and he's going to get so much damage. Oh my god, he's only lost 2 Marines. Oh my goodness, sometimes it just feels unfair when you watch ByuN play some TvZ. That's ridiculous to have only lost 2 Marines. He's killed 59 Lings in the game. Obviously, he lost the 3 Reapers as well, but I was absolutely convinced he'd overcommitted with these units chasing those Banelings. He only, like, killed one Bane. And then it was like, oh, but now you're stuck on the map, right? Like, Solar is setting up to trap you. Well, was he ever really trapped, or was Solar the one being trapped? Now we're going to start losing creep spread in the front, and Solar's already losing control of this game, I think. This is just an absolute masterclass of early game TvZ by ByuN. I'm not going to say it was just TvZ, because there's a lot to TvZ that we're just not seeing here. Because ByuN's just not letting Solar get to those stages of the game. One Queen goes down, a few Zerglings try and move through. Queens try and continue fighting Ling Bane from the bottom side. This might be the fight. I think this is a lift and leave for ByuN. Get into those medevacs because, yeah, he just wasn't quite in position to deal with the fact that units came in from the south side at the same time. He's now going to unload into the main. A couple of Banelings do connect through for a chunk of Marines. Well, the Marines kind of stand and fight. We're still going to get a lot out of here, and obviously you still find some pretty decent trades across the board during that. Going to come back in, keep on pressuring. There are more units back at home. This is a 2-base commitment from ByuN. He does not have a third CC behind it, so it is quite important right now that he just keeps up the pressure, and I don't think Solar realizes how committed ByuN is. There's no world in which he needs 10 more drones that he just built. If he knew how committed ByuN was, I think he'd be kicking himself right now, and he might be kicking himself in a few moments when he realizes that ByuN is just so committed because he just didn't need to go to 70 drones. 60 was absolutely fine. He's still building a drone. He's building an infestation pit, plus 2 carapace, all these things that may never come to fruition in this game. Guns gonna start getting set up. I'm terrified because there's tanks involved, and we've seen the tank positions so far today be absolutely disgusting out of ByuN. This is a good one. It's going to support in this edge, so if you try to run in to deal with the Marines that drop off, well, that's going to be a problem, right? That's not going to be easy. Solar pulls a lot of units to the main base, as there is the move in, and the tank starts to rack up its kill count, 7 and 4. Liberator even sieging up here. This base is in a world of trouble. Hatchery starts to go down, and we actually have to make a play here as Solar. He's got a lot of transfusions, I suppose. This Liberator probably will go down, but again, the tank's just racking up their kills from a distance. 14 kills on the upper siege tank right now. The scarier, more scarily positioned one. Going to lose one of his medevacs, but I feel like these are the sort of expenses he can kind of afford. There's a little bit of drop action over here, but generally I think Solar has enough to deal with that, so this is the more important position as Solar moves forward. This might be his chance to break on through. He's not going to let this tank get beyond. Okay, there's still going to be 30 kills. Still pretty good, but I think ByuN might have just lost his momentum. Loses that medevac as well. I think he might have lost his momentum, guys. He has one more army coming across the map. He has now got a third CC coming up as well, so there is something of a backup plan. But he's still not exactly in an amazing eco position. 48 SCVs, 71 drones, and Solar. The fact he's now holding this is obviously meaning that the earlier greed of going into extra workers is paying off. Does he have any Banelings? He has 17 of them. That's going to be essential to help hold this fight. 1 tank, 2 tank, 3 tanks that need to kind of play around this position. This is a very strong tank setup location kind of here on Jagannatha. Oh, we're going to lose a few Lings there. That's not pretty. I don't think this is good at all. I think these units on the bottom side came in too soon. ByuN is going to run behind his tanks and try and get away from the Banelings. He's got that tank on the top side that's actually good as well. He is going to take down the Banelings, and he stands strong with the Marines fighting against that. The siege tank supporting still, and that means that ByuN has a lot of Marines to push forward with if he wants to. That was a great trade for ByuN. That was one of the fights he was kind of looking for here, as Solar is just unable to find victory in some of these scenarios. Just going to be seeing the Ling Bane Hydra gathering up. Some more Marine tank coming to join in. Our Marines still pressing up this ramp. The Vipers trying to see what they can do. A couple of Baneling shots there are nasty. Oh, this is not great for ByuN. He kind of gets jumped on. He's going to try and go for the Vipers. One of the tanks is just completely taken out of the equation. The Banelings are connecting. And this is actually going to go Solar's way. Wow. Okay, this was a roller coaster whirlwind of a game. Because this felt so much as though, like, even this fight over here felt so good for ByuN, but he did kind of still need to get more done. And this fight was just bad, right? Like, the Banelings, suddenly the Banelings are jumping on this. This army's over here. There's Vipers to contend with as well. This got very out of control very quickly for ByuN after being pretty dominant for him. Look at the resources lost, 5k difference. That's just the difference of what Solar had in economy to make up for that and to find the one final cleanup that he needed to just make ByuN get out of here. You know, credit to Solar because that was a tough game. He was in a lot of trouble, I'll stand by it. And he really managed to dig himself out of that trouble and head himself into now ourselves in the top left-hand corner. The red Zerg that just survived in that previous game and just about managed to hang on to take it is going to be our red Zerg from Onside Gaming. Solar. In the bottom right, our blue Terran from the Shopify Rebellion. We have got ourselves ByuN. Well, a little bit of momentum stopper as well, I think, was so important for Solar, because if ByuN won 3 games back-to-back like that and just, you know, great micro, great fashion, super aggro, I think Solar just melts away in this game. Now, a bit of a reinvigoration for Solar, and, you know, maybe slow ByuN's momentum down that little bit could be just what you need right here, so see if that might be the case or not. And as we get another barracks down, no surprises to once again be seeing the commitment to these 2 barracks at the front and get this up and running with the Reaper-based opening once more. This time on Grezvan. Grezvan was kind of the OG map in this map pool to kind of play the forward racks Reapers on as well. This was the map that people would kind of pretty much do it on every single time. Like, Maru would do it every single time. ByuN would originally, even the other Terrans. And then it kind of, like, died, you know, became a thing on other maps as well. And now we see it on pretty much all maps. But a lot of the Terrans who don't do it, like, every game like ByuN does will still kind of do it on this map, but then not so much on the others. If you look at kind of, like, the tendency or the trends across their games. So there's just definitely that little bit of a factor. It's that ability to jump up into the natural, I believe. That just gives the Reapers an extra, you know, outro location. Like being able to jump up and down over here is an extra little bit of something, an extra ledge to work with, helps you out that little bit more. So definitely something that we try and stick to a lot of the time. Now Reaper just coming across the map and towards the natural expansion, where there's a couple more Reapers on the way here from ByuN. He's going to have the first shots on a drone and now going to start a fight. The Zerglings, he'll get 1 kill early. That one was not pulled back far enough in time. And our Queens are a few moments away. Will obviously be a bit more of a defense against this. Our second Reaper about to show up. We will get Ling kill number 2 here out of ByuN though. As the Queen comes forward, the Reaper takes a few more shots. And we now have both Reapers going to head themselves and their attention to this third hatchery. Well, Queen's already starting to move over here. Probably drop a grenade with this Reaper, I would have thought. I would have thought we'd drop this. I guess it's kind of cute because you can force the units to kind of respond down here to the hatch and then jump up into the natural like this so they're out of position. And then you can maybe get a little bit more done. Doesn't quite grab that drone. Might be able to from the high ground. Didn't get there. Grenades on the ramp to just try and keep a few Zerglings away. And ByuN definitely still finding some pretty good value with this so far. We're just coming back around. A few more Zerglings continue to drop. The CCs still in production here. Again, a few Lings, a few drones in production as well. We are again going to get a couple of drones, kind of half HP, but not quite getting the follow-up shot. Ling speed, moments from finishing, the Lings are going to start getting themselves onto the map to try and intercept these Reapers from going home. They are going to begin chasing, but again, there's so many ledges you can use as the Terran. This is one of the maps where you can really keep these Reapers around for even longer than normal. So that's exactly what ByuN will do because of course ByuN wants to try and take every possible advantage. And the Reapers on the map is one of those. He just heads into the starport, the third CC behind this, so one of the more standard follow-ups on this Reaper 2 racks opening for the moment. Couple Queens wondering the drones are still producing. I'm going to see the extractor cancelling off over to that side. Reapers come back around. The Banshee and a few Marines still just coming up as well, by the way. It's just bringing all of that through. As our Lings get over here, the Reaper's going to turn back around. The Queen will be there as well, just to punch the Reapers back. So just seeing the Banshee and the Marines. Like I said, the Banshee, a fun little addition. Not going to have Cloak or anything. But then I guess we play the Swapperoo and we get the starport on the reactor. We start to get some medevacs out in the factory and build some tanks off the tech lab. Something that we've seen ByuN do throughout today. Used it a lot against Dark earlier, that single Banshee to keep you a little bit safer, put on a tiny little bit of harassment, and then just kind of work the way through the game from there in general. As our Reapers will join up. The Banshee goes all the way around the south. Did not get spotted by the initial Ling that was running around here. It was too far away. Banshee just continues all the way down the south. A couple medevacs coming through. The engineering bays are building up. Both those engineering bays coming out for the moment. Just on the natural, starting up combat shields. Just kind of all the usual on the way through for the moment, as we do have our Banshee coming up the left-hand side. Spellcrawler going to fire a few shots off. And this Banshee. I've seen Banshees a couple times today, not quite sitting in the right position to stay alive. This Overlord is going to go down. Medevac high ground vision. Got it off of the safe spot. I believe our Banshee just died over here as well, so really an unexciting Banshee. As the medevacs will instantly just load up, and they're going to begin looking for the drop play, which, well, is kind of just a classic and kind of just a given. If your name is ByuN, going to come boosting forward into this main base. Squawk Roll already setting up, a couple spores maybe, oh, a couple creep tumors trying to get forward there as well. We are going to dive into the mineral line. Rolling's going down, just going to continue with this. The Baneling's going to try and come through. Obviously, ByuN not going to fight against the Banes, I don't think. He could have tried to target fire, but he was already under attack, so it just makes sense to kind of lift up and find the chance to get away here instead. 1-1 upgrade still coming through on the engineering base. Still seeing our Ling Bane joining up. Our Hatchery finishing up on the forward position as well. All of our Marines and Medevacs will just unload one more time. ByuN's still going to try and find absolutely everything he can during the course of this as the Lings will come forward to try and protect the creep tumor. One Medevac's going to die, no? Okay, it just gets off the creep, so it's away from the Medevac. Queen's far enough that it's not an issue. So that looked as though that might have been a problem for a moment or so, but obviously not the case in the end. There's Medevacs and, well, just a whole bunch more Marines straight across the map here, so away they go. That's our army coming through as well, getting set up, tanks moving forward. Let's say everything just kind of getting over into position. As ByuN wants to control this kind of low ground area on Grezvan. You can control this area, you can do very well for yourself. We saw him do it brilliantly against Dark in the previous matches that he played today. He really put himself in some very good positions. So let's see if he can keep up with that idea as our Marines come forward. The Reaper's putting some damage out as well. The Queen's taking some shots. Thanks, still firing. Marines still turning around, trading with a lot of the Zerglings. Actually still taking some damage as well, potentially. The rest of these Lings come running by. Oh, pretty much just going to be seeing these Marines still standing and holding their own. Solar's taking his time to fight. Obviously, the Hatchery HP is a resource. You let it fall as low as you're comfortable with, and then you go. And that obviously allows you to buy some time with your army being as strong as you feel like it can be. We'll see. I keep checking the kill count of the siege tanks because we've seen some ridiculous tanks so far in this series. It almost wouldn't shock me if we saw even more high kill count tanks. Uh-oh. This is going to be a little bit of a catch on the reinforcements. ByuN kind of came across with all of his reinforcements at once instead of just trailing them over, but there's a sizable amount of units looking to catch there as Solar, and he did pretty well as he continued forward. He will hit a bit of a brick wall of Marines. ByuN is still pushing forward on this side of the map. Vipers are now coming out, though, so Solar is kind of surviving up to a little bit of hive tech, and maybe that makes a bit of a difference for him. We turn with these Marines, we start to pick through the Queens. Oh my goodness, every single Queen's going to die! Well, that's very expensive. It's just going to be seeing the Ling Bane still coming through. ByuN still having some of his reinforcements caught here, and Solar is really saving himself with those units, because if it wasn't for those guys, I don't feel like he would have won a fight here just yet. Now he's going to actually get a good collapsing fight in on this. Actually, ByuN's going to drop on the high ground, maybe thinking about grabbing the hatch still. Might be tough. Solar's quick to get there, and I think ByuN might just want to go back to the center. He doesn't have any splash damage with him right now. He's going to have a big lead on 2-2, though, by the way, so upgrade should look pretty nice for him. As we stem forward, we're going to grab a couple Overlords. It's going to be a nice quick pickoff. These Marines join up together. Medevac's going to unload into the main base. That one low HP Medevac just about getting away. A Queen will go down as well. Now we're going to turn and fight. The Lings, the Banes coming through. One medevac goes down over on the sides. Two upgrades, adrenal glands all coming up. We do see our Marines and our tanks continue to fight. A whole bunch of drones going down as well. Still got that adrenal glands coming up. Our 2 Mali upgrades are still coming into play. Means we'll grab the hatchery in the bottom left-hand corner. We're still pushing up. Far left-hand side, still pushing up through the middle as well. Gun's pressure is amazing, but I will say Solar has a knack for surviving, right? Solar has a real talent to be able to survive in kind of games he shouldn't really be surviving in, and then sort of seeing it out to kind of, you know, be a back and forth game. And I see that Lurker Den coming up on the production tab. That's the kind of time where I kind of feel as though Solar is very good at slowing down a game and just playing a very different game to what the Terran wanted him to play up until that point. Let's see if that Lurker Den truly is going to be the inspiration I'm kind of suggesting it may be. Liberator Siege up, Bio pressing forward, hatchery taking some heavy shots initially. That's going to get cancelled up pretty much just straight away here. Still pushing forward. Our Marines going to sit tight and fight. Ling Bane goes running back. More shots. Ling Bane still taking some heavy hits. Just going to be seeing our army still pressing forward. Bio going to pull back once again. Blinding Cloud comes down. Siege gets caught pretty quickly. Just still seeing this Bio Force pushing on through. More medevacs right up to the top side. Just chilling out over there as well, as you do see our Bio army coming around the left here from ByuN. Five more lurkers. Just going to see that sizing spines coming up. +1 missile attack is building. Big Bio Force coming through. Knocks down that Queen immediately. The Lings want to try and get straight in on top of this Bio, but we get the hatchery. ByuN just targets it down and gets out of there, so he's just going to take that and run with it. ByuN just doing everything he can to disrupt and disturb Solar throughout the course of this game. First 12 minutes has not been peaceful, but like I say, we are getting ever closer to lurkers. Then again, ByuN is getting ever closer to his answer to lurkers, which is Ghost as well, so he's also getting himself into an improved position. He's not just using this time to try and end the game, he's using this time to set up brilliantly in the game, right? Even if this goes long, he's getting 5 bases up. The creep spread of Solar is almost non-existent because ByuN has been so active in the game and denying it so heavily. ByuN might stim on these lurkers. I was actually going to say, like, there's not a lot of defense for them immediately. I didn't hate the idea with what ByuN saw, though maybe you could have assumed that there was going to be, you know, Ling Bane not far away. I didn't hate the idea, though. Like I said, it did seem like a moment where he might have been able to jump on them. If Solar didn't bring the other units across in time. How was a siege tank here? Because the Viper abducted. I was going to say, did he just drop a tank here? No, our Vipers are going to come to the stage and get a little abducted off. Took my brain a moment to figure that one out. Let's just see again. Additional ghosts coming out. ByuN happy to play this late of the game. He plays into it a lot. He's not going to shy away from it. He's not going to, I think, try and end this any sooner than it needs to. Once ghosts start coming out, ByuN will play this game late. He adds on a ton of command centers. Tries to drop a little bit of bio up over here. Keeping the pressure up for the moment. Parasitic Bomb going to force one medevac to split away as well. Let's see a few more Lings coming by as we actually killed off an Extractor. Still just, again, complete lack of creep spread. It's kind of incredible how bad the creep spread is. And again, it's not a slight to Solar, it's a credit to ByuN. You know, the creep spread is being pressured so heavily that it just looks that bad. It's kind of ridiculous. He kills a hatchery again. I'm a little worried that ByuN is kind of just going for hatcheries and maybe not more substantial damage. Like, it's slowing Solar from getting set up, I suppose. I guess it's fine. He's not losing tons of stuff just yet, right? Like, he's trading reasonably. Resources lost is pretty reasonable, 4K difference. And ByuN has 5 bases very comfortably back at home as well. That abduct didn't, Triple abduct. Yeah, that was a little amusing when the first couple of abducts don't quite get the job done. I actually think if he'd boosted one time into the corner, he probably would have forced another abduct as well. Snipes the Overseers. Overseers are A, something you have to rebuild because they provide supply, but they're also just expensive, right? Like, A, you need the detection, but B, they're expensive to make, so actually they're really good snipe targets. There's really good value in that, and right now, boom, this Ghost can cloak up, and suddenly you can't fight against them because you don't have the Overseers anymore. The Ghost just sit there sniping Banelings, finding free damage. We're running now. Now a few of these Ghosts do get a little bit trapped and they can't get away. Reinforcing units shown up from ByuN. Lurkers going to actually find themselves onto this forward base where we see the Planetary taking a few shots. VSTV's going down. Uh-oh. Getting in some trouble again. Losing quite a lot of his Ghosts in these trades. He's going to get pushed back. How many Ghosts we got left? 11? How did we have... We've actually lost 11 as well. Some expensive trades for ByuN. It's still about a 4,000 resources loss difference. These Lurkers for Solar, I think, are going to be in some trouble. They're going to get sniped down next. I think they're going to get out of range the next couple. The idea of Solar is that he's finally putting some pressure on ByuN. He's finally forcing ByuN to play back around in these kind of areas. Instead of ByuN being, you know, just super active on the map, Solar is forcing ByuN to play his game a little bit instead, which I think is a pretty big aid. Jungleings, handful of mains, all of this setting up. We do have a couple additional Lurkers coming through as this army of Solar. Well, we're going to see a chunk more Banelings morphing in once again. Plus on vehicle weapons is coming up, and the steel armor is being produced. Let's see more of this group spread. Just pushing out the frontier for the moment. And the game really does slow down. Credit to Solar. He found enough of a fight to kind of push ByuN back, get ByuN to stop and really think about rebuilding properly. And now, look at what he can do. Creep spread is not exactly like halfway across the map or anything, but it exists. An extra hatchery coming down, so the moment you lose one hatch, it's not just like, GG, I don't have a base to use. You know, the game is getting so much better set up right now here on the side of Solar than it ever has before. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Looking much better for him than it has done previously as extra Banelings morph in. And I think just slowing the game down in general. I mean, ByuN can play a really good slow TvZ as well, a split map if he needs to. So I'm not saying this is like Solar has gotten over the hump, it's going to be easy from here on out. But he was under a crap ton of pressure. He was in a really tough spot. And slowing the game down definitely gives him much more of a chance than if the game had just continued at, you know, 100% speed. Being handed back into the middle. Going to see a few mules dropping down top right. A couple of lanes going to get picked off. And it's just going to be seeing our Bio doing pretty well on that. CC sets up in the top right as well. Still seeing our Lings, Banes, Hydras just collecting up to the top for the moment. Gonna see both our CCs continuing up, Bane, Hydra, Viper out on the bottom side. We just have ourselves a couple of command centers still building up here as well. Let's get all of this coming through. Bio Ghost coming up, a few Lings on the bottom side, taking some extra bits of damage. This army of Solar continues to move out down to the south, setting up to see just what he might be able to do aggressively. Like, can he actually go attacking into the Terran? It feels weird because he's been playing such a defensive game until now, but this might actually be his chance to mix it up. Ghost trying to find the Overseers, gets one but not the second. Go back and forth a little bit. ByuN also has an army up here. Well, that's a Nidus Worm that gets denied immediately. Lurking inside, but they obviously don't die in that scenario. It's a really good fight for ByuN because he's just going to be able to knock down a base. And it's just a location that Solar has to rebuild back into, a position that Solar generally just needs in the game if he wants to play this out. You need bases when you play against a Terran into the late game because the resources lost is going to be in their favor. You need to be mining. And if ByuN knocks this base down, it's then also much harder for Solar to come and deny this base when ByuN tries to take it because he doesn't have as much of a presence here as what he would have had if this base was properly set up. Maybe you get some static defense going. Maybe the creep spread even advances a bit further forward as well, right? None of that now happens. Taking this top side is just a little bit easier from ByuN. Obviously, ByuN is going to struggle to hold top and bottom, and so he probably won't hold this base for a long time. But that's okay. He doesn't need to for a long time, as a couple of lone Vipers middle of the map get sniped down as well. Solar just has to instantly rebuild those, and that doesn't exactly do him any favors. When it comes to the efficiency game, Solar may very well be able to just mine and mine and mine. But again, if he gets denied, his base gets denied enough, if ByuN doesn't let him mine a base extra, and ByuN continues to find value, it ain't gonna matter. This is not a good fight for Solar either. The tank is in a good spot. The Infested died, it got the fungal growth off, but these were all very tanky units, so the Balins were crashing into Marauders and like Hellbats, so they're not even finding super great trades on the back of that fungal, which it felt like that should have been amazing. It was just a little bit shy of being amazing, I guess, in the end. NBA Hydra continuing through. Bioforce coming in for a couple of creep tumors. Some changelings will potentially get taken down as well. We didn't notice it. Looks as though for a moment we thought about maybe just going for the base. As these Hellbats start to put some damage onto the Zerglings. We know that those can be very powerful later in this game. Those Blue Flame Hellbats, as they get their upgrades as well, begin to one-shot those Lings. And that's obviously just a nasty trade for the Zerg to figure out. You know, this game has gone late. And it is progressing later and later. And Solar has a hell of a bank. I do feel like ByuN's setup is extremely good. It feels like he's in a very controlling position still. It feels like pretty much all of the fights are kind of on ByuN's terms, right? It doesn't feel like Solar's really forced any fights where it's like, oh yeah, you know, this was really me grabbing an advantage, or me really grabbing the trade I was looking for. It's almost always ByuN still dictating where they're fighting. And there's a lot to be said about that. So that's why I'd say right now I'm still not feeling 100% great from the point of view of Solar here. Obviously, it would be untrue for me to say that I think Solar's in like a ton of trouble, because I do feel like his position is still absolutely viable enough to win the game. It's just definitely going to be one of the harder later game victories, right? You're really going to have to drag it out, because the Terran went into the late game from such a good position, so it's definitely a factor. Army splits out down to the bottom side. Up plus 3 vehicle weapons continuing through. Oh, it's a nice fungal. Problem is, these fungals are great and all, but there's no follow-up to them. Chunking through a little bit of medevac HP or so, and a little bit of medevac energy maybe is decent. Man, I swear down, I've seen Thors melt today to some of these surrounds that the Zergs have found. Although that was an expensive Thor kill, because it did come alongside a bunch of snipes. We evacuate this Thor. Well, okay. He moved this Thor backwards for a few moments. I don't know if that was truly an evacuation. The Infestor, one of them gets away from the snipe at least, so it can stay alive. As we find some more snipes on Hydra, still value for ByuN. Resources lost has now crept up to a 10k difference. The group of units is just outnumbered, so again, ByuN just going to lift up, but he can do that. He's trying to take this base. I don't know how serious he is about really wanting it. As long as the Zerg doesn't get this base, I think it's kind of fine for ByuN not to mine from it for now. He's going to focus a lot on the top side of the map, defending and also denying this base. And then eventually, he's going to be able to kind of loop back down and just, you know, play with this base later in the game. That's obviously maybe 10 minutes down the line, but it's very plausible we get to that sort of stage of the game with the way that things have been going so far and the way that this game is setting up. The Hellbats in the front doing decently against a few initial Zerglings. Balin's crashing through, a couple Thors going down. Now some Ghosts getting some snipes off again. I think this base is in trouble. That's why it's so good for ByuN to be up over here. You're denying this base while being aggressive here. You're defending your own forward base. The Hellbats take a moment to jump onto the Infestors. Do we get a kill? We do not. Now friendly fire on the siege tanks is going to kill all those Ghosts. It's actually a little bit expensive for ByuN. That was not the prettiest of trades. I actually think he had a moment to get away with those as well before Fungal came down, but obviously there's a lot going down. Not every choice and decision can be the perfect one. Solar making the Broods, and obviously the Broodlords are very, very much so the reason why a lot of the Thors are coming into play. Those Thors are somewhat necessary to fight against the Broodlords, but it is now a very different army that Solar's playing with. So this can start to look just very different in general, as we're going to drop some Hellbats towards mineral lines. Some tanks over here, finding some honestly pretty decent trades as well. I kind of like it. I feel like Solar needs to kind of stop and deal with this properly. He was looking at the Broodlords over here, but the Ghosts found some snipes on the Broodlords. We are going to finish off this bottom side base. Pretty incredible, I think, for ByuN to win out on this base here, while he's also been doing so well on the top side of the map. He obviously hasn't been able to maybe stabilize on his own base on the south side, but denying Solar's base. Solar genuinely has income issues. Like, his bank is starting to drain, and it's not going to build back up as quickly as he wants it to. He does not have the bases that he needs. So it's still going to come down to some larger fights a bit further down the line, but this is still trending, in my eyes, over in ByuN's favor. He's winning so many positions on the map that are important for the long-term kind of state of this game. I think that's what it's coming down to is... Let's see what happens over here. These few Hellbats might just find a bunch of these Banelings before they're ready to go. And a few Thors and a few Ghosts to back it up as well. Hellbats will just split a little bit. I mean, how do you find efficiency when these kind of units are just sat here fighting? And if another base goes down for Solar, that's truly... Yeah, it's honestly really bad. The Broodlords are on the way over here. The Thors will turn for some final good parting shots. We did evacuate the Ghosts. This hatchery does survive, I was going to say. If this base goes down, generally... I think that this game is truly just gone for Solar. Right now, he's already struggling in terms of minerals. And that's with this base staying alive. Ghost finding some more snipes over here. ByuN deciding to give up some SCVs. He doesn't have enough bases to use all these SCVs on. As he dodges back away from the fungal growth. Thors standing, fighting, doing what they can. The Ghosts are looking for some snipes and EMPs on the Infestors, taking their options away from them. These Thors need to all fight at once if they're going to go up against the Broodlords. Otherwise, it might not be that fun of a time. Gonna try and get a couple more snipes off. There's no detection unless we drop a fungal. As the Overseer is now coming through, but there was a few moments where those Ghosts were kind of just running free and having an absolutely fantastic go of it. We've ducked in one Liberator. We'll fungal it up as well. Liberator's gonna get caught one more time, and he's absolutely gonna be not dead. Okay. I'll not say things before they happen. Neural Parasite on the way too is obviously a pretty integral, well, actually a pretty massive kind of late game upgrade for Zerg. It can be really the cause of winning a lot of these later game fights. You get a bunch of Neurals off on Thors, and you turn the fight around, the Brutals can start to overwhelm. By the time the Terran gets control of the situation, there's just too few units left over for them. That can be absolutely a problem as that Ghost gets sniped down by the Brutalings. Our units will stand here and fight. That was some friendly fire though. Some Ghosts keep dying in this friendly fire. 13k resource loss difference. What's that Ghost count at? Only 10. I say only, 10's still a good amount of Ghosts, but obviously sometimes you see like 20 Ghosts, and with this amount of spellcasters out, I wonder if 10 Ghosts is actually going to be enough? I think ByuN is obviously recognizing this really is turning into Broodlord Infestor, which means its mobility is at an all-time low in this game. So there's no better time to start suddenly just going with larger portions of your army down to the bottom side of the map and killing off a base, right? Like, these are plays you can't counteract as the Zerg player because you're completely reliant on the Broodlords that aren't as slow as they used to be, but they ain't, you know, they ain't cruising across the map at 100 miles an hour. SCVs just running across trying to donate themselves. Do try and find some shots on the Broodlords as they try to rotate into a different location. And that's the beauty of what ByuN is doing, because it's forcing a reaction and he's taking advantage of the reaction as well. Good fungal growth though. Solar's going to get a really good start of this fight. The Neural Parasite on the Thor to help out. We try to get some snipes out. These Ghosts going down. A nice little final Blinding Cloud as well. A lot of these Infestors have like absolutely no energy left on them, by the way. I don't think there's a single, I think there's one fungal growth available across all these Infestors. No, I think it's one fungal available. So there's really no energy on the Infestors right now, which is terrifying because the spellcasting is meant to be, in a big way, what keeps you going in these games, right? It's what keeps you going against this army. I talked about the Neurals being absolutely imperative. Well, no energy means you can't do any of that. Obviously, he does have time now, and maybe we'll build back up into that energy, and it's going to be okay, but wasn't a super exciting start as some SCVs of ByuN are attacking a hatchery because they never got killed off on their way across the map. Again, ByuN is just still carving through a path. And I tell you what, he's gotten this base up as well. I've talked all game about how important these bases are going to be later in the game. And again, ByuN is getting to these bases. Solar is being denied these bases. And now you're starting to see it reflect in the banks. ByuN has a massive bank and Solar doesn't have a bank anymore. And it's just because he's been losing control of this game slowly but surely over the last 10 minutes or so. It was always, like I say, it probably sound very ByuN biased casting this game, but it's just always been a ByuN favored game. The early game was very good. He was in a good position. He didn't get to a position to close the game out, but he set himself up really well for the late game. And his late game moves have been set up, really well initially because he's been in a good position all the time. But he's then executed very well in the late game as well, which is obviously quite important. And it's definitely showing because when can you pinpoint a moment in the game where Solar really had like a good shot? When Solar had a move that was like, oh, that's the one. I feel like Solar's best moment was when he kind of stopped ByuN and forced this to go late game, when he won the fight. But boy, he was so behind at that point already, right? Like he had so much work to do from there. If that's your only victory of the game, it didn't put him in the lead, it just stopped him from dying earlier. Very cool game, especially, I mean, like I say, it might sound like I'm a bit biased to ByuN, but it's been a real solid showing of just how to play a game from an advantage comfortably into late game and then continue to play the late game in your favor. Solar has still got an army, and if there's an army, there is a hope. Neural Parasites, like I said, I think really could be very impactful, even as he continues to lose just real estate. This is an issue. I mean, as this game goes on, not mining this base as the Zerg completely out is an issue unless you can start to trade more efficiently, and it kind of becomes... I feel like Solar's on a timer right now. More so than ever before, because now he's not going to be able to mine more than the Terran. So now you have to try and do something before the Terran catches back up in terms of mining. Because you were mining more than the Terran earlier, now the Terran's mining more and more and more. So you've kind of got to go before the Terran gets access to all of this money, but you don't even know if he's on a timer or if his time is expired. Because it feels like the Terran player already has, again, a great bank. Maybe we are a little bit low on gas right now, but actually taking this base, 2,500 gas right there if we can actually mine from this position. And I don't see why not. Solar is fully focused on the bottom side of the map as he whiffs the fungal on the 1 HP Liberator that gets away. Solar's just going to play for this bottom side, try and deny this base, and maybe if he could win this fight, maybe he can take this base as well and gain access to some resources that he probably needs but wouldn't usually have access to. So maybe that's the approach he takes. Maybe that's just the one thing you can do now. There's almost... feels like there's no point coming to defend over here, but obviously your production stuff's over here, so you kind of need to defend to some extent. But I don't think he wants to bring the Broodlords and the Infestors over there, because he knows he's just going to get torn apart if he does that. That's exactly what ByuN wants him to do, but it's not just what ByuN wants him to do, it's almost what he needs to do, because, again, you can't just lose all of your tech structures, surely, and all of your bases. Solar's just in a chokehold, and he's just not finding a way out of it, unfortunately, as Hellbat is probably an absolute hero as well. 20 kills, casually. Hellbat's just cranking up to double-digit kills in this game, as they obviously just melt the Zerglings. Broodling's still trying to fire down here. ByuN makes an aggressive move forward, gets hit by a massive fungal. I was going to say, did he hit any EMPs? The Infestors are pretty darn good on energy for the moment. Going to come around the side for the flank. He's looking for the Neurals. Let's see if he can do. He's going to Neural up a bunch of the Liberators. We try and drop some EMPs during this. The Thors get evacuated for a moment. Looked as though he was going to drop forward. Now he's going to come drop around onto the Infestors as the Neurals continue. If the Neurals wear out and the Infestors get pushed away, the Broodlords should just get cleaned up by Liberator Thor. And as the Liberators continue to try and zone out, the Thors, there's only a couple of them, mind. As they stand and fight, the few Infestors still coming in from the top side. ByuN's going to start losing the tail end of this army. These Liberators are going to have to retreat away. Solar is going to, for the moment, win out a fight. As the Liberators are going to turn back around. I'm not sure if that's really the play. They siege up. There's going to be at least one Infestor that gets shot down from that. Actually, two. ByuN lost a lot, but he is rebuilding. And again, that's the luxury he has that I don't think Solar really has at all. And Solar knows that this army is not going to do it. He has 0 rebuild potential. He's on the tail end. He's got 1 Broodlord left. As reinforcements, we're going to get it done. But it kind of got a little bit scary. You can see the potential. Solar found a good fight. He found a good angle to maybe get back into the game with. In the end, it just wasn't quite enough. Going to go down. So Lightshade, one of the maps from the extended map pool here in OSC. This was usually a Terran map. We'll see how it pans out here. There's just, I mean, talking about tank positions and how good ByuN has been at tank positioning in this series, there's some nasty positions you can get set up with the tanks. Maybe not like one specific tank, but like tanks up here helping you push into this forward base. Tanks down here pushing into this location, or down here. You know what I mean? There's so many ledges and so on to utilize around the bases. Lightshade can be a real nightmare for the Zerg players, such as Solar, a lot of the time. So we'll see what happens. As in the bottom right, our blue Terran from the Shopify Rebellion is ByuN. When are you watching me play some ladder? You can watch me play some ladder if we ever have a free day without StarCraft, mate. There's too many tournaments to cast for me to take a day out and waste it playing ladder. I promise you. You would much rather watch the players that are taking part in these events. I'm almost certain of it. Double barracks coming up at the front. Hatch gas from Solar into a spawning pool. ByuN has opened with this pretty much every game, right? He opened the one game with the forward barracks and the Marine, sniped the Overlord. That was the first game on Ancient, but yeah. I gotta say, you know, we talked about that game that Solar won in this series. Not game 5, but game 4. And it was such a momentum break because it felt as though ByuN was also doing very well in that game as well. And to kind of break his momentum at that point felt so critical for Solar. But man, ByuN got straight back to it. The start of Grezvan was aggressive. The start of Grezvan was just non-stop. And after that start, it really just became... like I say, it played into a late game where it just felt as though ByuN was in such a good position the entire time, right? It was definitely a... pretty big factor. Reaper coming up across the map. Let's see what this is going to look like throughout our early stages. So do you have our Reaper wandering to the upper left-hand side. Couple of queens, handful of lings, all being brought through here. We're going to drop a grenade down, and a couple of drones going to get blasted about. First Zergling not quite going down. Link still coming over. Reaper goes back and forth. There's a Zergling here, going to get a little jump onto the Reaper as well. Once that Zergling speed comes up to being about halfway done. Queen's still pushing forward. I've got a factory on the way. CC is coming up. And just going to be seeing how Reaper's getting pushed back around for the moment. Oh, nothing too wild. I mean, we've seen these Reapers repeatedly, although that was a brave little attempt of a dive in. Good grenade, pushes the Queen out of the way. You get access to the mineral line. Try and get something done with that. I kind of like it. Cool little play. Cool little way of getting going is you have Reapers still trying to dance around, and they do not have the grenade to finish the Creep Tumor off. So that Creep Tumor will survive through this. As now as Zergling speed finishes up from Solar. Lots of ledges on this map. I can only imagine this is actually pretty decent for Reapers. I guess they can't jump up and down all of them, so maybe it's not as good as I'm immediately imagining, but definitely doesn't seem bad. They're going to get back home anyways, so for the moment you won't have to worry about it. And this might be the last time you cast Lightshade, because I believe the new OSC season starts after this, so this is probably the last time you see Lightshade in map pool for a little while. The OSC extended map pool will change. 3 different maps will replace the Jagnatha, Death Aura, and Lightshade that have been in the map pool across the course of this tournament, the King of the Hills, and the other OSC events we've been covering over the last few months. Queen is there, a few Reapers diving in. Zerglings are going to start firing up a few shots. A grenade goes down, the Lings will come back through, and the Reapers still just going back and forth a little bit to try and see what they can find. It's Roaches from Solar. We haven't really seen him play too many Roaches, but man, after draining game number 5, do not blame him for kind of hopping into a few Roaches right now. As I think these Reapers are dead, but ByuN's Micro is going to make the absolute most of the situation. He's so good. Like, I swear these Reapers are dead, and then only one dies because there's not enough Lings to fight the final 2. Like, he's so good at turning around with these Reapers and grenading and just running through the Lings while they're in the sky to undo the work that the Zerg is doing to try and surround the Reapers. Like, it kind of is a little bit bonkers. You know, it kind of is a little bit ridiculous. Massive attack coming across the map. Honestly, I kind of like the change of pace. It's all been about ByuN's aggression. It's all been about ByuN. Now, it's kind of about Solar, as ByuN has no idea. He moves forwards. This has got to be a bad scenario if your name's ByuN right now, as he does have to stand back. He does somehow get to the wall off. He is somehow going to keep these Marines alive to get the SCVs in front. Banshee, and this is why you build a Banshee every single time. It's not being useful every game, but this is going to be where it absolutely shines. Able to start working on the Roach Ravager. Would prefer it to kind of keep going on the Roach Ravager. Low ground SCVs obviously all evacuated for the moment. The barracks going to evacuate as well. What do we have? A siege tank popping out. ByuN very much so has to defend with what he currently has. He does not have the chance to really reproduce beyond this. Solar's still down on workers, so he needs to kill some workers. He is going to start droning now. High ground siege tank is massive target fire, and the roaches as well to make the most of it. The Banshee putting in some good work. Just needs to stay away from corrosive piles. He turned back into it there, which had me scared. ByuN now down about 9 workers, and again, remember that Solar is producing drones as well, so continue to increase on that number. As this Banshee currently coming through and going to go after a roach. Just going to grab that. I'm going to look for another. Roach goes down, so that's a couple dropping. There's a creep tumor here. Just going to be finishing up as well. And just going to be seeing our medevacs and our marines. Still working up to the top side. One more missile upgrades coming through. The Queen popping out. Flare on the way. Marines are going to come stemming forward. So going to be seeing these Zerglings still coming by. A lot of Lings going down. Now a few drones going down as well, though. ByuN will lose one medevac hopping to the main, but obviously still not a bad start. Any stretch of the imagination, this lair is about to finish up. These Marines are going to go drone hunting, though. They are on the hunt as the medevac loads up and dives away through the top side. Queen putting some damage out. Medevac taking some shots. So I'll dive back in. A couple more Lings, a few drones. Damage being done as ByuN just keeps up the pressure. And obviously, good to get some damage done when you're following up from a defense against Roach Ravager. Otherwise, it can definitely be a scenario where the Zerg can just drone, and boom, they're back and running away with the game. Multiverse will finish up there. The orbital command's going to go move down to the low ground. Missile, carapace, and roach speed. We're going to continue to see roaches throughout the mid stages here on Lightshade. So I think that's not a terrible choice. Solar, I think, knows that this is typically probably pretty good for a Terran if you let this map really develop too much. So keeping kind of on the aggressive side of things with the Roach Ravager, I'm down with it. I feel like it's honestly not too bad of a call. So I'm down for that. We do see our upgrade's going to finish. Now, Solar, he's not quite on 3-base saturation yet. Usually, we kind of ask the question, do you cut at 3-base saturation and build Roach Ravager and try and all in? This one of the reasons this map was actually sometimes weak for the Terran players because it is quite open 3rd base. You can come from like here and get a pretty reasonable jump. This one little plant here and here is the only real choking that happens. So, Roach Ravager attacks used to be kind of fairly kind of common on this map. I'm trying to think if it used to be Roach Ravager, or if it used to be more kind of like Ling Bane based aggression that used to be good at kind of jumping on this fact, because it's open as well. And obviously Terrans like to take the forward base rather than the upper base, so that was kind of why this forward base gets taken anyways. It looks as though Solar's not even going to be that aggressive. He continues to drone. He's building a Baneling nest. It looks as though he wants to go to the next stage of the game rather than ending it right here and right now. The Baneling nest is going to be finishing soon. The infestation pit is still producing. Hatchery will get cancelled. We're going to turn around a couple of these roaches. Immediately in some trouble. Going to get another drone to come across. The hatchery will be placed. Roach Ravager's continuing around. A couple of corrosive bars. Oh, he gets one of the medevacs. So he actually does get one. Obviously, this is maybe not a guarantee. Let's just see our hive coming through. Melee, Baneling speed, +2 carapace. All the good stuff on the way up as we do see our Marines continuing up the right-hand side as well. We'll move into the middle of the map. As this army will just be met by a little bit of Ravager Ling. Solar, 72 drones on his way to the hive. Baneling speed. I mean, you gotta kind of like where this game is going for Solar, right? Like, in general, looks pretty decent for him. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Creep spread continue to be denied as we run on up. Feelings trying to come around for a little bit of a wrap, and this is going to just be a denial on this medevac on the left side. The roaches are good to defend as well. Solar is stabilizing here for the moment. One more map win for him, and we are going to game 7. Obviously, if ByuN wins here on Lightshade, the series is done, and ByuN, as the mid-season playoff champion for OSC, he will guarantee himself a seed into the highest possible start for the OSC Championship, an event he's looking to win for a second time. We have an OSC Championship every year in January. It's an awesome event. We always cover a whole bunch of it. Hopefully you guys will be joining us for that a few months down the line. And for a lot of the StarCraft up until then too. There's honestly so much StarCraft happening, so there's a lot more than just that going on. Here comes the tank push. This is one of the good positions, right? Like I said, this high ground leading into the low ground is very good. I pointed out at the start of the game. Because once you get set up around here, you A, have a high ground, and B, you can start pushing into the position of the Zerg on this base, so it's really tough for the Zerg to hold off. Still have the two medevacs over here as well, threatening the potential drop into the main, or just over here as well, a possibility to do both. ByuN will continue to advance forward with these tanks. How exactly is ByuN going to play this position out? We have a few Marines in the center going after a couple of these creep tumors. Marines getting a couple more creep tumors. Still just seeing some Marines and some tanks up on the high grounds and everything. Ling's already going to be taking some damage. The Bio going to have to pull back a little bit. Blinding Clouds going to be taking some shots. We are going to see the tank getting abducted in. Adrenal Clans is about to finish up, so we are going to see Solar's Lings get a little bit better, as on the left side, a little drop over here, found a little bit of damage as well. Well, Ultras are the choice from Solar. He's going to go Ultras to kind of be a stepping stone to the later stages of this game. Medevac pulls back, our Bio Army still pushes forward. And another couple of these tanks will get sieged up, and we do have the stem into this position. Lings, Banes, the Ravagers all taking a little bit of damage. We do have ourselves the Bio going to split apart a little as well. Aliens want to crash through. Marauder's taking some shots. Ultra going to start running forward a little bit, but Ultras are not going to be super great against what is already a pretty chunky amount of Marauders in this army. And a little bit more Ling Ravager taking some damage here. Vipers are going to start coming through. In we go. Abduct, a Blinding Cloud or two, helping to take this fight a little bit more favorably on the side of Solar as he tries to push up this ramp. Reinforcements showing up for the Terran player. The tank's putting a lot of damage out. Can ByuN really just stand and fight here? He takes down an Ultra as he goes. No Kiteness plating means these Ultras maybe not kite as tanky as they once were. As the Medevacs have a big load up here, so ByuN's going to change the direction of attack with the big drop. And at the same time, he's going to keep on still applying a little bit of pressure over here, but the big drop over on the left might catch Solar off guard. Ghost on the way out now as well, so I feel like ByuN is kind of survived through the stage where it's like the first ult just pop out, and now he's going to have Ghost, so now I'm not sure how scary the Ultras are really going to be. I'm going to stem up. Just going to actually drop a snipe, and that's going to be one Ultra taking a hit. Fire comes around the back. A couple of drones already going down. Our Lings and our Banes continue forward. Let's see how Marauders continue through. Going to knock down a creep tumor. As well, it's just going to take that out. You're going to see a tank and a little bit more Bio continuing to fire up a storm. Just a little bit more damage being dealt here. As you see the ghosts and everything still getting set. On left, this drop is still putting in some work as ByuN have a little bit of an issue over here with his CC. A little bit of damage done there. Game really kind of gets very slow for how aggressively positioned ByuN is. I mean, he's just going to let his Ghost start wandering forward and trying to hunt down a couple of stray snipes on Ultras and Ravagers and just tech, heavy units. Well, that's a lot of money just lost. Solar drops 20 supply, and he's actually got no detection here. Oh no, the Vipers are all sniped down. The Ravagers are still dying. Everything's dying. Did these Ghosts just win the game? Oh my god, no detection on the northern side of the map, and that is going to be deadly. The left side drop apparently cleaned up as ByuN trying to repair and keep this CC alive. Ghost will snipe down the Ultra, and oh man, it's just a disaster. Solar just getting pushed in every angle, and he just lost so much of his army all at once. But that is going to do it. That is going to close things out, and ByuN is your OSC Mid Season Playoff champion. What a sudden way for the game to end. Just out of almost nowhere. I felt like we're kind of stationary. I didn't love what Solar had army-wise, but it felt like the game